This is the story of my Kawasaki G5, which I picked up years ago off a guy up in northern Minnesota. There it is in the back of my truck. But the fella who had it before me used to ice race it. And then it had been retired many years. You can see the screws in the tires there. But I picked it up just for the motor. I was going to put in this Kawasaki KD100M that I found on Craigslist for free, but it was missing a motor. So I got this bike, and my intent was to pull the motor, use the motor in the KD100M, and sell off the rest of this bike. But I kind of realized that this had the larger frame on it, and it's actually, the seat is at 32 or 33 inches high. So pulled the motor out, and then I decided that actually I could ride this bike as an adult a lot easier than the KD100M, which I will restore and put in my collection. But then this bike will be part of the collection as well. So the rear fender had been repainted several times with black and silver. I guess it was originally blue, and I really liked that sort of patina and that look, and I kind of decided to sort of take it in a rat bike direction. So I made those fake stitches on it, and then I painted the G5 in a gold color to sort of match the oil cover, which I later found in the junkyard, and I think it looks pretty cool. I found this gas tank at the motorcycle only junkyard that I frequent, along with a box of parts including the oil tank cover, an ignition set, and I think a rear tail light housing. Of course, when I get home, I sort of put everything on to mock it up, trying not to mess with the patina that's on them, which is, tons of dirt and grease and whatever, because again, I'm going for the rat bike look. You can also see in this picture I have that front fender is actually the fender from my Sidewinder. I had been planning on using this tail light, the original tail light, on this G5, which I'm turning into a rat bike for a while, but I think it's a little too big for the look I'm going for. After I put the lens on it, it's just a huge light. So to keep up with the sort of the rat theme of the bike, what I'm thinking about using is this piston that I cut out. I had to cut out of the Sidewinder, and I thought this might look really cool, sort of like right here as a tail light. So I'd have to weld up a bracket, make a bracket up to attach, and then make a lens, and actually have a busted up lens that I can cut this centerpiece out maybe. Should be pretty cool. I cut the lens out using the same hole saw that I used to cut the chunk out of the piston, so figuring that the size would match pretty well. Then I cut out a piece of wood to screw the lens to, and to JB weld inside the piston, so I'd have something to mount the lens to. Then I had to hollow out the center so that the light would shine through. So this will be a brake light. In the next couple pictures you'll see sort of close to finished product, and here it is with the light mocked up at this point. At this part of the video, I'm taking a look at the gas tank. It's got a couple of big dents in it, right where your knees would be. A nice big one on the right side and a nice big one on the left side. So I looked at different ways of pushing those out without, just sort of cutting the tank in half. And one of the ways that I found on YouTube was to stuff a motorcycle inner tube for a tire down in there. So what I did was cut the inner tube close to the valve and sealed it up with some rubber cement, and then I stuffed it down in the tank. Notice the distance between the two parts of the gas tank where it connects to the frame, right below the stripes. That's about 2 inches. I didn't pay any attention to that, and so I stuffed the inner tube into the tank, and then I hooked up the air compressor and started putting the air to her.
Did it!
What I didn't notice right away was how it had expanded the tank, as you can see right there. At this point, the tank on the right side looked really good. That big dent was gone. Still had little ones, but whatever. But I didn't want to keep expanding the tank farther and farther while I pushed out the left side dent. So what I did was I took a 2x12 and I used a circular saw to cut grooves in that matched the seam at the bottom of the tank perfectly when it was not expanded. And then I ratcheted the tank down to the 2x12 and again used the inner tube. So here you can pretty plainly see the dent is still there on the left side, and then inside you can see how the seam in the gas tank is down into the groove I cut in the 2x12.
The goal was to get this out of here.
Here's the tank without the dent on the right side or the left side. Filled the tank with gasoline and discovered it had a leak in this area, so I decided to try soldering it, and then I refilled the gas tank after the solder. It held for about a week and then it had a slow leak in it, so what I ended up doing was going back over with some JB Weld over that, and it's been holding ever since.
Was the first start since I've been building the bike.
This is the current state of the bike. It starts right up first kick, it stops, it goes. I need to iron out some wiring because I don't have the lights working at all. It doesn't have a baffle in it. Two-strokes like to be baffled. They run a lot better. So I need to get a baffle for it, wire up the tail light and the front light. And I'll just wire them to be on whenever the bike's running. And other than that, just sort of ride it and sort out any issues or any remaining issues. Thanks for watching the video, and subscribe for any future videos on this bike or any of the other bikes in my collection.